So the documentation for this is on Verity Solutions website. Go to training, SAP training, and you can go into the general project management and business analysis section. Here kind of everything is kind of laid down. We'll kind of walk this thing through how this is going to look like. So I'm just going to go and make edits, changes as we kind of go along. I'm just going to make this thing bold, actually heading 2. Okay, I'm just going to save this thing. So the very first thing you would do if you're a business analyst, or if you are a project manager, is kind of look for defining the scope of the project. The project has many phases. As you can see, one of the first phases of the project is defining the scope of the project. So what is that you would like to accomplish in your project? I'm developing a HR system, I'm developing a Java-based system, I'm developing a mobile application, I'm developing a web page, I'm constructing a house, I'm constructing a bridge. What is that you're planning to do? Okay, it could be as anything small as a day, or it could be as long as building a Taj Mahal, which could take 22 years, whatever. So it depends on on what you're trying to accomplish. You really need to define that. If you don't define that, you're never going to accomplish your mission. Once you define the project scope, you go ahead and define a very high level plan and an estimate. What is it going to cost you to accomplish this particular mission? You're building a railroad, you're building a website, you're building a palace, casino, going to the Mars. So what is the plan and what is the estimate? How long it's going to take and how much is going to cost you? You need to define that based on this particular scope. Right now, this is a very high level scope. You don't have to get down into any kind of details. So you can just say it's going to take 2 years, and it's going to take $2 million, or it's going to take 1 day and it's going to take you $100. It could be as simple as that. Okay, project plan and estimate. And then later on you kind of get into the details. Get into the details in the sense, let me define the requirement, clearly define requirements for my project plan. If you're building a palace, how many bedrooms are you going to have? How many swimming pools are you going to have? If you're building a house, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms? If you're building a website, just like this is a website, how many menus are you going to have? What are the menu options? What are the colors it should have? How is the logo going to look like? Are these going to be bold, or is this going to be just going to be regular font? So you got to define the requirements, how you want to define your website. So if I'm defining my Verity Solutions website, my requirements are: I'm a training site, I need a training menu, I need to be able to put my training documentation, I need to have a blog, I need to have a contact where people can contact me. I need to have a place where I can deliver documents to my students. So that's my requirements. So same thing, you got to go ahead and deliver your requirements basically. What are you trying to accomplish here? You need to get into some details as to what you're trying to accomplish here. That's called the as-is workshop or requirements workshop. You need to define your current process. Okay, you need to define your current process. How is it going to look like? What is your current process? What are you doing today? Is it paper? Is it manual? Is it do you have a system, or you don't have a system? Okay, and the next step is you need to document the requirements. Documentation can be anything. You can document using you can document using Visio, you can document using Word, you can document using PowerPoint, anything, any documentation tool. You can get, very fancy to very basic documentation. You need to clarify, okay, and confirm requirements with your business users. Okay, get signed off on these business requirements, and then you need to evaluate, fit and gap. Evaluate the fit and gap with requirements. Does this, whatever they're asking you, can you deliver it or can you not deliver it? Let's say if the guy says, I want to go to Mars and come back in 6 months, right? That's definitely a gap. Means there is no technology today that you can go and just come back, in 6 months. Or let me say, I'm just gonna, another thing is, hey, I need to be able to have these, these letters jump up and down. Okay, they need to just go like this and like this and like this. It needs to, when people look at it, oh, that's a gap, because this current, HTML doesn't allow that. I can only, do bold. I can only, I do good font. I can only do highlight. I can only do bullet points, but I can't make this thing jump. That's a gap, right? So you need to develop, evaluate your fit and gap, with the requirements. If fit means the product has the functionality to deliver it, means, yeah, fit means, yeah, of course, I'm able to deliver a WordPress site, or I'm able to, code you a Java website. Obviously, menus, that's pretty standard. Header menu, bottom menu, footer menu, all these things are standard. Of course, I can deliver you. You should say, I need to have a content page. Of course, I can do that. You need to have a footer. Of course, I can do that. So you got to be able to, oh, I need a blog. Of course, I can do that. I need to be able to attach it, have people log in to this website. Of course, I can do that. So you got to be able to quantify those requirements and say whether you can or you cannot do those requirements given, the product that you're, working on, right? Gap means custom development. So you have to develop, any of these things, reports, interfaces, forms. You have to do all these, custom, solutions. If it is a gap, okay, let me just leave it like that. Okay, so once you have the requirement, you need to go and do your design work. Okay, I'm going to highlight that with maybe a heading for future design. Okay, our future state. So you need to show a blueprint, some kind of a document to your customers that you understood his requirements, and you're gonna deliver that to your customers. Okay, maybe I'll make it heading 2. Okay, I'm just gonna save it. I'm gonna go back. Maybe I'm just gonna do all these things. Okay, that's fine. I'll leave the formatting for now. Okay, the future state, you need to define the future process, how it's going to be, how are you going to go back to Mars and come back. Are you going to have a warp engine? Are you going to have a rocket? Are we going to have a special spacecraft? How are you going to do? What is your process? If it is a website, right? I'm just gonna, the simple website. Oh, I'm just gonna, go get a hosting from GoDaddy, launch, install my WordPress. I'm just gonna, create a page on my WordPress. I'm just gonna create menus on my WordPress. I'm just gonna link it. So what is the process that you're gonna develop that part? You need to define that over here, okay? And also, I'm just gonna show you some documents. So there are several templates. So that's also called blueprint template, design template. You need to define in your to-be state how you're gonna achieve or accomplish this thing. What are your goals and business objectives? What is the scope of your project? What are some of the key decisions of your project? What are some of the recommendations of your project? what are your benefits and financial analysis for your project, what are some of your costs, how are you going to manage the risks for your project. So you got to have some kind of a template. Every company has their own templates, basically. So let me show you another template here. That's one template. There is another template here. Okay, so here you got to have a project overview. What is this project all about? What is the key terminology? What is the scope of the particular project? What are the assumptions? What is the business process for this particular project? Okay, what is the flow diagram? How is all these different components are going to work? Here, this is like an Ariba project, and this is how the Ariba project is going to work. You're going to define, the process. So my POs, gonna go to, invoices. Invoices gonna be turned around. They're gonna be going into Ariba's network. From there, they're gonna go into Ariba's Pro. They're gonna go back to the network. They're gonna go route it here. So this is my process flow. You need to define how things are gonna, work. This is my, process gonna be. This is how my documents are gonna, go. You have to define your process in the to be process, in the to be state. Okay, define the future state process, define the technical architecture, explain how things will work. Okay, explain the process. Okay, and then conduct design workshops. If you're not sure, bring some people together, bring some experts, and say, what is the game plan? How am I gonna, do these design workshops, right? Bring experts and SMEs, other project members. Okay, and then review the design with your project manager, stakeholders, and others. Okay, if there are any key decisions, develop a key decision document. We don't have to do this. Review the design with your SME. That we already done that. Okay, develop technical design document. How is a technical architecture is going to look like? Okay, and complete the blueprint. Okay.
Wow. Okay,
complete the blueprint. So blueprint is your blueprint, design document, high level design, all the same things. Okay, so the output of your basically a future state is this one. Output of this phase is blueprint, design document, high level.
Yeah, Hari, one question, Sandeep here. You're just giving the overview of what you're going to cover in this business analysis. Is that this what you're covering right now?
Not an overview. I'm actually covering everything. Not an overview.
It's an overview, right?
This is not an overview. This is the actual class.
Okay, so broadly, can you give us just what you're going to cover in the whole curriculum or whatever you're going to cover in this business analysis? So at least, like I can figure out if it's something for me or not.
I'm going over the process of a day in the life of a business analyst, basically. A day in the life of a business analyst. So as a business analyst or a project manager, what do you need to do? So I'm just kind of going over, the process. So very, yeah. So I'm just going to go over from top to bottom. Basically, your scope, requirements, design, controls, testing, go live. That's kind of a very high level process, business analysis. So we're going to go through these things. So what is that you want to accomplish, and how are you going to accomplish it, basically. So I want to go to Mars, right? Go live means you went to Mars, and that's what it is. I want to develop a web page, and I develop a web page. So just two simple examples. So that's what business analysis is all about. You'll be delivering projects. You'll be delivering some actions. Doesn't matter. It could be as big as going to Mars, or as small as creating a web page or a cell phone application. Doesn't matter. It's the same steps for everything. So I'm just gonna going through these steps right now, one by one.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing is the degree and scale things will happen. Building a Taj Mahal, or going to Mars, or creating a website, or creating a mobile application, or building a house. They're all the same thing. All the projects, they all differ in scale. They all differ in the methodology, but they all do the same thing. You define the scope and you deliver it. Everything kind of defines, it's the same process. Okay, so let me call this a phase. Define the project scope. This is probably the this is, maybe I'll just say phase 1. Phase 1, define project scope and organize as is. Requirements, define requirements. Organize, define requirements would be, okay, maybe I'll call it a phase 2 here. Okay, the output of the phase 2, your phase 2, okay, here, this would be your heading 2. I'm just going to make it a heading 2. Change everything here. It's okay, I'll worry about that later. And then this would be your phase 3. Okay, phase 1 is defining the scope. Phase 2 is document requirements. Phase 3 is future design, or if your future state. Okay, let me even remove that thing. Okay. And once you've done your future design or future state, your output of this thing, basically we talked about, is the blueprint, right? This is your output. Actually didn't done that here, output. The output of this phase is a blueprint. The output of your phase 1 here, or phase 2, is a requirements document. Requirements document. Okay, that's your output. And the output of your to-be process is basically your blueprint document. I have several templates that I'm going to upload to this particular website. All the document, there There is no right or wrong. It depends on the company. There is something called, like this. It's a high level design document. System architecture, logical, data model, process design, user interface, external interface, alternate. So every company might have, certain requirements. Okay, every company might have certain things or certain requirements. I'm going to show you one more thing. Again, this is again same thing as a blueprint. This is a different format. Design documents. You need to ask the company which format or which methodology. Okay, so this is another example of the high level design or blueprint, whatever you want to call it. What is the system overview? What is the system's environment? What is the development environment? What is the integration environment? How are you going to test it? What is your development strategy? What is your data model? What is your data flow diagram? What is your process design? What is it, what are the inputs? What are the outputs? So how are you going to design your system, basically? Every company has their own template depending on the size of the project, nature of the project. These things can vary. Okay, there are many templates. There could be another thing here. It's a design document, just another way of doing it. So they're explaining how the design is performed, and you can see the graphs and charts. The way the calculations, how things are going to be designed. So that's going to be the output. So first output is a requirements document. Your second output is your design document. Okay, I can even color the outputs with some color, red. Okay, output is requirements document. I'll probably attach some kind of a documents at each step so you can see how they flow. I will even attach a project plan. Okay, so that's a project plan, and that's a requirement document, and that's your blueprint. Okay, the phase 3 or phase 4, I think here, phase 3, phase 4 is your project controls. So I can do heading 2 here. Okay.
Do I have a headphone there?
So the phase 4 is the project controls. Here you need to define security controls, you need to define SOX controls, you need to define your process control. What are some of the controls? What are the rules by which your company or organization is going to govern? So what are some of the controls that you're going to have in this process, right? If you want to go to Mars, obviously it's a very high security project. You got to have make sure that you do not overspend what's been authorized by the Congress. That would be your one of the controls. There is only a certain budget that you allocated to. Same thing for your regular projects. So you got to have segregation of duties. You got to have who's going to be touching certain financial documents, who's going to be authorized to do certain tasks. What are your business process controls? Who's going to be writing the checks? Who's going to be approving things? So you need to explain those controls in the project control section, because that's gonna, if you don't explain that correctly, your solution is going to fall short. Basically, you designed it, and then you need to explain your project controls before you start implementing your website. Okay, and also once you've done the blueprint or a high level design document, you also need to define your security design. Okay, What are your security roles based on these controls? Security profiles, okay? Define security roles, define security profiles, define authorizations. So for example, my website, right? So there is no security here. So pretty much, wide open. But I could have a member login here. I could give access to somebody to log in and then look at some documents. I could give access to somebody to come in and change, edit my pages. So I could give somebody access to blog on my site. There are multiple authorizations, right? This thing where I can change the content is very highly secure. I don't typically give it to anybody. Anybody. This is public open access. Anybody come in and change things. For documentation for students, only students can access it and documentation. Blogs, if you have a Facebook ID or Google ID, you can go ahead and write some blogs. So there are different security reasons in different applications that you need to define in your security design process. The output of this thing is a security design document. Okay. That's fine. I mean, you can define a separate security document, or you can make it as part of the blueprint also. Either way, you can put that over here. You can put it into your to be as is process, or you can also put it into your blueprint process. So blueprint, well, already done that. Okay. Now once that is done, you're gonna go into phase. What did we say? Phase 3, phase 4, phase 5. Okay. Right here, phase 5. Okay. In the phase 5, basically you again, let me see. Okay. In the phase 5, you're gonna be starting your development. It's called realization phase, development phase, build phase, configuration phase. So you can call any names, but this is where you're building the product. So as we went back here, you define the scope, you define the requirements, you designed it. Now you're gonna start build. You define the controls, and you're gonna start your building your product. Okay, so you're gonna start building your product at that particular time. So I'm gonna attach some documentation at each step, so it becomes easier for you. All the red means deliverables. You have a project plan, requirements documentation, your blueprint, your output, security design document. I'm just gonna mark it as red. Okay, and then you're gonna start your blueprint. In your development phase, realization phase, build phase, configuration phase, you're going to be developing something called configurational design or technical specifications. Means how did you output of this thing? Output of this thing would be your configuration document. Output of this thing is your configuration document. Configuration document or final or realization document. Anything that, whatever you want to call it. So Okay, that's again another output for you. Okay, another phase here is your phase 6 is your testing phase. Okay, we'll talk about that. So I'm going to show you some blueprints, some config documents. Maybe this is a config. Yeah, this could be a config document. So configuration now, and this is how am I going to do my configuration. So you can say this is my transaction code. That's the menu path. I'm going to create a vendor account group, and the account group is going to be a one-time account group, and it's going to have a number range of 0. And this is how we're going to be configuring certain documents. Let me see if I have more examples of configuration design documents. Not really. I think I only have however you're configuring that product, you're going to be writing the configuration design document. And that this phase also you write the business process procedures. So once you configure the document, how are you going to execute that particular product? How are you going to navigate to that particular product? What are your business process procedures? In this case, it's an SAP transaction. This is like an FB50. This is the navigation path. This is how we're going to execute. This is like work steps. So you're going to be creating something called a BPP, okay, or a BPP or a business process procedures. KDD, we talk about BPP, realization document, config document, and also I'm going to have a business process procedure. We call it BPP. It explains how the business is done, output. So as a consultant, as a business analyst, you have to create all these different documents. You have to be able to create a business blueprint procedure. You have to be able to create a config document. You have to be able to create a a CRD configuration. No, I got that. Okay, configuration document. You have to be able to do a CRD, configurational design document. You need to be able to write technical specs. I'm going to attach that as well. So all these things are outputs of your project, basically. Okay. So security design document, configurational design document, blueprint document, KDD. This is an output key. This is why did you decide to do something? Why did you decide? In my case, I need to explain why did I decide to use WordPress, not Java coding? Why did I not use HTML5? Why did I not use certain product? Why did I use WordPress? So I need to explain in my key decision document why did I choose SAP? Why did I choose Ariba? Why did I choose a solid state rocket to go to Mars? Why not a warp technology? So I need to be able to explain my decisions in your key decision documents over here. Okay, anything that's red is a key deliverable that you have to deliver to the project. The next phase is testing phase. In the testing phase, you need to develop a testing strategy. You need to be developing a test plan. You need to be developing a test preparation. You need to be developing test cases, test data, and test scenarios. I'm going to show you very high level how this test plan is going to look like. This is how the test plan is going to look like. You will see a test case. For example, this is an test case. Here, I'm just going to display material ledger document, for example, and then I'm going to be pick something nice here. I'm doing some kind of a price change for a material document, and that is there are like 7 steps in this particular step. I'm going to be, and these are all the test steps within that, and I'm going to be putting the test document. So I enter plant 121, enter this document number, enter this particular year, and also you need to also define the expected results and who's going to be executing this particular document. Okay, this is called the test cases. Or you need to put in the transaction code. You need to put in navigation. How do you navigate to that particular screen? Who's going to be executing it? What are some of the authorities, authorizations that you need to have? Test cases can be pretty lengthy. Here you can see this is an test case, and you have 1,000 test cases. So you have to. It's a very painful task, but 169 cases just for one business process within a particular module. So it could be testing is the longest phase of the project. It's the most grueling phase of the project. You have to really define strategy, planning, phase, preparation. You have to come up with the test cases, test data, test scenarios, and you need to define the testers, and then everything needs to come together to execute the test phase. This is the longest phase of the project, is the testing. Okay, takes a lot of people, a lot of coordination, because somebody has to sign off on those things. In the testing phase, you usually have unit testing. Okay, you're gonna have unit test. Basically, unit test any technical or functional objects. You're going to have system testing. You're going to have integration testing, means all the things have to come together and start testing on certain things. And then you're going to have user acceptance testing. So unit testing is you're testing everything individually. System testing means you're kind of grouping together as a system. You're testing system as a whole. Unit test of technical or functional objects in silo. Integration testing means you're testing all the interfaces. You are testing everything end to end. Okay. Typically these things have cycles, integration 1, 2, 3, you'll have many cycles, and it could last for months. The testing phase. So the key deliverable for this thing is the develop test case. All these things are deliverables actually here. Output, develop test cases, develop test data, develop test scenarios. You're going to be doing the unit testing, okay. Unit testing, system testing, integration testing, and your user acceptance testing. Okay. And if everything works well after your testing, you start preparing for a cutover. So cutover means basically going live. The process of going live. It needs to define the sequence of objects, that are going live. Basically, you need to define what is your cutover strategy, what are your cutover objects, okay, and also your roles and responsibility and the timing of cutover timing, when you're going to be going live, and then on a nice day you go live for the you go into the Mars basically. So let me see. You need to develop a cutover strategy. You need to develop a cutover objects. So the output for this thing is the cutover plan. Cutover plan is a very detailed plan, step-by-step instructions of how everything is going to be executed. Okay. And cutover is basically phase 5. This is going to be phase. That's a phase 6. This is going to be phase 7. Phase 7. Okay, cutover process. Testing here, you're going to be testing strategy, testing planning, testing phase, testing preparation. Okay, some problem with the very top. I'll correct it. Okay, looks good. Go live. So as a business analyst, you have to deliver all these different types of documents, a cutover plan, test cases, test data, test scenarios, BPPs, configuration documents, CRDs, rise of objects, technical specs, functional specs, security design documents, KDDs, as well as your project plan and your scope. And you need to really phase 0 really is the overall governance. Define the project governance. So who's going to be the project manager, who's going to be the stakeholders, who's going to be the approvers of the project. You need to define all those things in the project governance structure at the very beginning. And that's the nutshell of the overall project management, as well as the your business analysis document. I will upload a lot of these different templates, design document templates, high level functional specifications, high level design documents, CDDs, BPPs, process documents, functional specifications, blueprints. This is a very extensive blueprint for FICO. The blueprint can be, let me see how many pages this is. I think this could be at least this is about 84 pages long. Okay, about 90 pages long. This is a very extensive FICO blueprint. So step-by-step documentation, how you're going to be implementing SAP financials in the system. So it's the same thing. Are you developing, you're putting in a HCM system, an MM system, a BI system, a HANA system. You need to define all these different elements. What is organization structure? What is the master data? What are the closing procedures? What are the accruals? How are you going to define your business process? If it's a HR implementation, how are you going to run the payroll? How are you going to set up organization structure? How are you going to set up employee data? How are you going to set up security? How are you going to set up the, if you're developing success factors, how are you going to set in the portal? So what is your, end result? You need to, attach it and then put it out here. Project, as a business analyst, as a project manager, you're just going to be creating lots of documentation, lots and lots and lots of documentation. If you think, it's just you configure things or write Java code, no. The majority of the work is documentation. Okay, so majority of the work is documenting what you do. Doing is easy, pretty much. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to do something, but it takes a lot to document things.